Welcome everyone to Kabbalah for Heretics. Welcome our listening audience. Today, as we do every weekday morning, Monday through Thursday, our program is on the Zohar and has been for the past 20 plus years. For those of you who may be new listeners, we have been going through the Zohar volume by volume, page by page, cover to cover, over 25 years, here, every weekday morning, and have completed volumes 1, 2, and 3. By doing that, we're now into volume 4 and coming very close to finishing volume 4. What we'll do when we finish volume 4, of course, is start volume 5. That is not immediately around the corner. At the pace we go, it's more like months before we finish volume 4, rather than weeks or days. But we will be finished with it, God willing, in the very near future, as we go through it, page by page, paragraph by paragraph, sentence by sentence. We left off yesterday in volume 4, in pages 411b to 13a. When Rabbi Hezekiah was studying with Rabbi Yitzchak, they once rose at midnight to study the Torah. Now notice this emphasis on midnight. It has very occult meaning, midnight, in Jewish mysticism as well as other mysticism. It is not day, it is not night, it is not morning, it is not evening. It is an absolute space between beginning and end. Midnight is. Rabbi Hezekiah was studying with Rabbi Yitzchak when they once rose at midnight to study the Torah. Reb Isaac discussed on the verse, quote, "Behold, bless ye the Lord, all ye servants of the Lord, which by night stand in the house of the Lord," unquote. Now, the translation, the actual Hebrew for the Lord in this passage is Yahweh. So it actually reads in the Hebrew, it actually reads, Rabbi Yitzchak at midnight discoursed on the verse, "Behold, bless ye Yahweh, all ye servants of the Lord, which by night stand in the house of Yahweh," unquote. This really points to, among other things we'll look at, the efficacy of going through this kind of esoteric study of the Zohar at midnight. There are some Kabbalists who, in effect, set their alarm clock to go off at midnight so that they can awaken in order to study literally at midnight. The second best time, of course, is right now when we're doing it before sunrise. It is well before sunrise here where I am. It's still night where I am. And that is almost as efficacious a time to study as midnight is. Behold, the verse says, "Bless ye Yahweh, all ye servants of Yahweh, which by night stand in the house of Yahweh," unquote, from the Psalms. Now look also at something else here. There is the strong implication you could be a servant of another God name. That's the implication. Behold, bless ye the Lord, all ye servants of the Lord. In other words, there are those who are not servants of Yahweh, but of others. And that you, in fact, the person being addressed, could be a servant of another beside Yahweh. Now look, I know that we're told Oh, no, no, that can't be because um, Judaism, mystical Judaism and all that, is very, very monotheistic. It does not believe in gods. It believes in one God. But that is not so. It believes that Yahweh is the God of gods, but not the only God. Moses says that to the Israelites. Your God is a God of gods, he says. And in the Psalms, which are being referenced here, you see constant references to other gods and to Yahweh being the head of those gods, but only one of them. Look, let's look at Psalms. Let's look at Psalms and quote some of those. People absolutely refuse to accept this because they refuse to they refuse to listen to what's right in front of them. Psalms is in 675 of my hang on. Here we are. Psalms. Let's start at the very beginning of Psalms. And let's go through looking for references to other gods. A very obscure reference to there being more than just Yahweh is found in Psalm 5:3. I say this prayer to you, Yahweh, for at daybreak you listen to my voice, and at dawn I hold myself in readiness for you. I watch for you, meaning I do not watch for others. I watch for you. I watch for you. That's Psalm 5. That's in Psalm 5. There are many other, of course, marvelous quotations, but let's find those that are specifically concerning the multiplicity of the gods. In Psalm 24:7, gates. No, gates is here symbolic. Gates, raise your arches. Rise, you ancient doors. Let the King of glory in. Let the King of glory in. Who is this King of glory, it says? Yahweh. Yahweh. It's really in the later Psalms that these references to other gods become far more specific. Bear with me. Bear with me. Believe me. Many people are shocked when we read the later quotations that we're going into. Okay. I should have started where they start. The Psalms actually proceed in groups by topic, and there are other very significant topics being discussed here earlier, but it's in the later Psalms that this issue of God not being the only God is taken up. Right now, the group of topics that's being discussed in the Psalms that we're going over, that we're not really getting into, is seeing the face of God. Because, as you know, there is the rabbinic teaching that you cannot see the face of God and live. We're passing over a number of Psalms which contradict that. Absolutely contradict that. It's astonishing how many very incorrect things. Here, it begins now in Psalm 77. These references to other gods begin. In 77:13, it says, God, your ways are holy. What other God is as great as God? Do you hear that? Do you in the listening audience hear this? What other God is so great as God? You are the God who did marvelous things, and force Gentiles to acknowledge your power and your own arm, redeeming your people, the sons of Jacob and Joseph. You differentiating Yahweh from the other gods. It gets more specific than that, believe me. Let's continue in our survey of the Psalms and its references to other gods. In Psalm 82, 82:1, it says, God stands in the divine assembly among the other gods. He dispenses justice. Do you hear that? This is why Elohim is frequently used as the name of God, because Elohim is plural, and it refers to the plurality of God. Elohim. Yahweh is singular. Let's keep going here. It's amazing to me how even with all of this, there are people who will say, no, 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 there's only one God. Hang on. Here's Psalm 97, 97:7. Shame on those who worship images, who take pride in their idols. Bow down as he passes, all you gods. Did you hear that? Bow down as he passes, all you gods. Our God is the God of gods, not the only God, but the God of gods. It's important that we know this. It's important that we look to the validation of this. It's not just one psalm, it's many. Bow down, all you other gods, as he passes. That's it for our survey of all of the quotations in the Psalms, which are powerful, that tell us that God is the God of gods. Not the only God, but the God of gods. Greater than the other gods, but nonetheless not the only God. And that makes far better sense when you look at the 10 Sephiros. That makes far better sense when you look at what the Zohar has been teaching us about the different planets. There are 7 planets, it says, and each one has its own God, as it were. They are not the God of creation, but they are gods. And our God, the God of creation, is the God of those gods. How many of you listening here in the recording session are following what I'm saying? I hope the listening audience is, and I hope you understand the importance of that. When Rabbi Hezekiah was studying with Rabbi Yitzchak, they once rose at midnight to study the Torah. Rabbi Yitzchak discoursed on the verse, "Behold, bless ye Yahweh, all ye servants of Yahweh, which by night stand in the house of Yahweh." Not in the house of prayer, notice. It says in the house of Yahweh. By night stand in the house of Yahweh. There is that mystical time, midnight, which is the house of Yahweh. It is in that mystical, temporal, virtual gap that Yahweh is to be found. And that's a suggestion for anyone who wants to try praying at midnight. It's a very different experience. Behold, bless ye the Lord, all ye servants of the Lord, which by night stand in the house of the Lord. This verse, he said, is a tribute to all true believers. That is to say, those who believe in the Lord, not in the other gods, but in the Lord. And who are the true believers? Those who study the Torah and know how to unify the holy name in the fitting manner. Now I want you to pay particular attention to that. It says, and who are the true believers? Now listen, those who study the Torah and know, listen, and know how to unify the holy name in the fitting manner. The tikkun of the name that we teach and practice and emphasize so strongly. The reunification of the name in the virtual world by us, theurgically. That is the fitting manner. And that is how one knows the true believer. Notice it doesn't say anything about the true believer being the one who follows the laws of kosher, who follows the laws of the Sabbath, who follows all the do's and don'ts of the Torah. It does not say that. That is not what is said the true believer to be. It says very clearly the true believer is the one who studies the Torah in the way of the Zohar and who knows how to unify the name of God, to restore the Yod-He to the Vav-He in the fitting manner. Not just any way, but in the way that is fitting. Our way. Our way. The way we teach and practice. The reunification of God and the name of God for the sake of God, not for the sake of the world, not for the sake of yourself, not for the sake of each other, but for the sake of God. Again, whenever we teach on this, it amazes me how many people, oh yes, I understand that and I know it, yeah. But when it comes push to shove, they don't do it. All they're interested in is themselves, their own improvement. And they don't understand that in this approach to this binomial God, this bipolar God, the closer you get to the fire, the more likely you are to be burned. Oh yes, I understand that. Until they're burned. This is why I always tell you, be conscious. This is a dangerous path for people who do not experience it, to teach it. You're drawing close to both sides of God, not just to the loving side of God. Oh, well, I don't need to do that. No, you don't. There are other teachings where you don't draw near both sides. We teach that it is necessary to draw to both sides in order to unite them. You cannot unite both sides by emphasizing only one side. So we emphasize both sides. We emphasize approaching God both in his evil and good aspects. Well, the closer you get to that, the more likely you are to be burned by the evil aspect. On the other hand, in this, if you do it the way we teach, you do it forearmed. You're far less likely to be burned. You're more likely to be burned just by life. I mean, if you study with anybody, me for example, for 14 years, something terrible is going to happen to you, with or without me, with or without the teachings. That's just the way life goes. What we're teaching is a way of understanding how that happens, why that happens. It's not even a way of protecting ourselves from it. There is no way to protect ourselves from it. There is no way to protect ourselves from the wrath of God. That's why the Mashiach came. He is our protector. It is our protector. Mashiach is our protector. Mashiach is our intercessor. Not God, but our intercessor with God. That's the meaning of the crucifixion. That's what Yeshua Bar Miriam understood. He had to give himself as a sacrifice to that angry side of God in order to reconcile the two sides of God by his sacrifice on our behalf. Did that work in his case? I believe so. Other mystics in the Jewish tradition have tried it. He did it in a far more dramatic way. Does that make him God? No. It makes him an intercessor of God. It makes him a messenger between man and God, so that he, the crucified Christos, can intercede on behalf of man with God without putting man in danger of God. If you truly understand that, and you truly hear me, and you truly practice that, it's less likely you're going to be violated by God. But the chances are you're going to be violated by God with or without these teachings. That's the nature of God. People die who study all different spiritual paths. People die whether they study a spiritual path or not. The death of a loved one happens to people who study other spiritual paths. The death of a loved one happens to people who don't study any spiritual path. That's the nature of life. It's going to happen. People are diagnosed with cancer in other spiritual practices, and not just ours. People who don't practice any spirituality are diagnosed with cancer. That is the way it is. That's the way God is. Well, you can say, well, that's not the way my God is. But when you say that, look at what you're saying. Look at what you're saying. You are what the Zohar and the Psalms are warning against. You are positing other gods equal to the one God. Do you hear that? Those of you who are here in the recording session, raise your hand. Do you understand that, what I just said? The minute you say, oh, well, I don't like that teaching, and I'm going to leave that teaching because I don't like the way God is in that teaching. Well, the minute you say that, you are positing that the gods who are instructed to bow down before our God is equal to our God, and you're going to go look for a different one. That means that the God you've been following the whole time you've been part of the teachings and from whom you've been profiting so greatly no longer is your God, because now you're not profiting. Now you're seeing the negative side of God. That's right. The farther you are away from God, the more it can look like one thing or another. All good. The closer you get to it, the more you see that this God has two faces. Two distinct personalities. Holy and unholy. It did not have those two before creation. It was in the act of creation that God split himself in two. Evil and good, dark and light. And the closer you get to God as it is, the closer you get to the darkness as well as the light. The children of Israel said to Moses after they were in effect killed by God each time he announced one of the 10 Commandments, they said, listen, Moses, the next time God calls us Israelites to come before him, you go and represent us to him. Have him tell you what he wants us to know, and come and tell us what he has said. The intercessor. Do you have sound? Good. All right. And notice in these broadcasts where the sound fails, do you notice? It's almost always the case whenever we are teaching this powerful teaching that the world does not really know, we have a sound problem. Suddenly the sound goes off. The recording stops. That side of God, which is the dark side, which we are trying to mollify by bringing it the positive side, does not want that to happen. It does not want you to know this. That's why, although these teachings have been in plain sight for centuries, they have not been taught until now. They've been in plain sight. This battle that we have every day is not a battle with men or governments. It is a battle with God and principalities. It is a battle we enter into in the battle of God. God is battling itself. And if we intervene in that in order to pacify that conflict, we come very dangerously close to the conflict. Do you see? The first time this was ever pointed out to me, amazingly enough, was when I, many, many years ago, went to be initiated into Zen Buddhism by a very great Roshi who happened to be, and still is, Leonard Cohen's Roshi. And what they did in preparing to meet with him is they had several of his students and monks meet with me. And I was sitting with one of them, and he was complaining about how badly things were going for him. But then he just said with great resignation, but I should know the closer you get to the fire, the more likely you are to be burned. That never left my mind. That never left my mind. And it should never leave yours. What we offer is a way of approaching the fire without endangering ourselves. Don't tell me and lie to yourself that you're doing it when you're not. When you're doing it your ego way, but telling me that you're doing it our way. Do you understand? When God kicks the shit out of you, don't tell me, oh my God, your way is so bad. I've been doing exactly what you said, and God is kicking the shit out of me. No, you have not. You have been doing it your way. You change in your ego the way I'm giving you to be the way you want to do it. And that brings you into danger. I'm not saying you have to do it our way, but don't say you do it our way when you're not doing it our way, but the ego's way. Don't do that. You're lying to God. You can say that. Although Jesus says, you can deny God and be forgiven. You can deny the Son, you can deny the Father and be forgiven. You can deny the Son and be forgiven. But if you deny the Holy Spirit, better for you that you never were born. To say that you are practicing what I have been teaching here for 40 years, to say when you're doing that, when you are not doing it, when you are doing your ego way and not the way of the Holy Spirit, you are denying the Holy Spirit, and better for you that you never were born. Don't do it at all. Don't say you're doing this. Don't say you're doing Neo-Sabbatean Kabbalah when you're doing your ego Kabbalah. Because that's better for you, you were never born. But just don't do it. Or just do it your way and say that's your way. And take your chances. How many of you here understand what I'm saying? Jesus said to his followers, listen carefully, those of you who are here and those of you who are in the listening audience, Jesus says, pick up your cross and follow me. Does anybody remember that? And what it means? Pick up your cross and follow me. If you follow me, you too are going to be crucified. That's what he's saying. That's what real Christians do understand. There are Christians who do understand that. They're looked down upon now in this new age as fundamentalists and so forth. But don't follow Jesus if you expect to land in a bed of roses with a bowl of cherries and beautiful young women and young men serving you. That's not where you're headed with that. You're headed to your own way of the cross. which we talk about on Friday mornings. In Judaism, imitate God. The imitatio Dei is one of the most profound of all teachings. It's in Kabbalah, it's in Christianity, it's in almost every religion. Imitation of God. It's called the imitatio Dei. It's praised in Kabbalah and said that it is the only way to really worship God, to imitate God. Well, if you're going to imitate God while saying you understand there are dark aspects to that, but not really practicing it, you're in trouble. To imitate God means to imitate all the aspects of God, with the dangers that all of that entails, but prepared for the dangers, conscious of them, prepared for them, not with tools to prevent them, but with tools to deal with them when they happen. All these years, all the people who have come to these teachings, oh yeah, I understand, I follow, you're right. But really don't. Because the minute something happens to them that I'm telling them they have to avoid, they blame the teachings. Well, they don't, it's not the teachings. It's what they have been doing to the teachings. If a doctor gives you a prescription that says take sodium bicarbonate, but you take arsenic because you feel it's just as good as sodium, you're going to die. But you're not going to die because of the sodium bicarbonate. You're going to die because you took the poison instead, believing in your ego that that poison was just as good as what your teacher was telling you to take, what your doctor was telling you to take. Let those who have ears hear. We'll continue with this tomorrow morning. Meantime, those of you who have come to the recording session and who have some questions, raise your hand and we'll try to answer them. Questions or comments? David, go ahead. Anybody else? Whoops. Go ahead, David. There you are, Yeshai. Let me interrupt you. There you go. If you have a comment or question, Yeshai, raise your hand. In the meantime, David, here we go. David says, you are either a student of this way or you are not. There is no halfway or nuanced version. Otherwise, it is not the way. Then it is better for you that you were never born. There are many sides of God known by different names when he is in his disunity. Here, God is identified, and specifically, especially, identified as the unified one, not the disunified one that so many people worship without recognizing as a disunified God, and especially one that is needing those true believers, that is, according to the Zohar, those who help to unify him. Absolutely. So don't say, oh yes, I'm doing it. I'm following your Neo-Sabbatean teachings. I'm trying to unify God, Yakov Leib. But the way you're doing it is to take poison and not the medicine that I'm prescribing and thinking it's the same thing. God bless you, David. Great comment. Great comment. Yeshai, you're back. Your hand is up. Let's hear from you. Yeshai, go ahead. There you go. Amazing shear. Kriyas, the God with two faces, split by creation, has its both aspects, evil and good. To try to experience only one or something else than what the teachings say, you're following your ego teachings, not these. Absolutely. Getting closer to fire means you are more likely to get burned, unless you know how to wear protective clothing. It's not going to stop the fire. but it's going to make you able to cope with it. What we teach is the protective clothing. It is not going to protect you from God. What it's going to do is help you to cope with God when he turns against you, as God is going to do. Just look at your own lives. For pity, look at the world. Look at the Old Testament. Christ comes to reconcile that. Christ comes to be the mediator. So we do not have to mediate any longer between ourselves and God, but that the Christos will do it on our behalf, and that Christos is still in us if we accept it to be in us. The Holy Spirit is in us. We must court the Holy Spirit. That's what we talk about. That's what we're doing. The Ruach HaKodesh, to seek her out, to be our intercessor, as she was for Moses. Baruch Hashem. All right. God bless you, everyone in the listening audience and everyone who has come here to ask questions during the recording session. God bless you. And God bless you, Yeshai and David, for being our recording technicians and making these broadcasts possible. God bless you. See you all tomorrow morning. Stay the course. Please God. And I'll see you both tomorrow morning.